Are you drinking actual coffee right now? Or are you sipping on a hot cup of roasted corn, sawdust, and chemical lies? Put that mug down and look at me. You have been programmed. For decades, the multi-billion-dollar food industry has conditioned you to believe a simple equation. If it's expensive, it's pure. If it's cheap, it's trash. They want you to believe that quality only comes in a matte black bag with gold lettering and a price tag that hurts your wallet. But today, we are blowing the lid off the biggest scam in the breakfast aisle. We are going deep into the chemistry of the bean, the deception of the roast, and the laboratory results that the big conglomerates pray you never see. We have analyzed the latest rigorous government studies coming out of Mexico, specifically the bombshell reports from PROFECO, the Federal Office of the Consumer. These aren't paid influencers giving reviews. These are guys in white coats with microscopes and mass spectrometers. They tested 33 brands. They found that some of the most expensive gourmet brands are chemically adulterated frauds, while 5 specific cheap brands, the ones you walk past because you think they are low quality, are actually 100% chemically pure coffee. I am going to teach you how to spot the biological imposters in your pantry. We are going to break down the 5 hidden gems that beat the system, and I am going to show you how to test your own coffee at home with a simple glass of water to see if you are drinking lipids or starches. This is the grocery store truth they don't want you to know. The problem, the anatomy of a coffee fraud. Before we reveal the 5 brands that passed the test, you need to understand the crime scene. Why is coffee fraud so rampant? Because coffee is the second most traded commodity on earth, right after oil. When you have that much volume, you have that much incentive to cheat. Mexico is a coffee powerhouse, producing millions of bags a year. But the domestic market, what ends up on the shelf at the supermarket, has been a playground for adulteration for 50 years. Here's the scam. Coffee beans are expensive to grow, harvest, and process. Corn, barley, chickpeas, and coffee husks, the trash separated from the bean, are dirt cheap. Unethical manufacturers take these cheap carbohydrate fillers, starches, and cereals, and they roast them. In fact, they burn them. They subject them to a process called torrefacto, or simply high thermal carbonization. When you burn a chickpea or a corn kernel enough, it turns black and bitter. When you grind it up and mix it with low-grade coffee, visually, you cannot tell the difference. It's all just black powder. But chemically, it is a disaster. Real coffee is a seed. It is rich in alkaloids, caffeine, lipids, oils, and specific organic acids that give it flavor. Corn and barley are grains. They are pure starch. When you brew real coffee, you are extracting oils and flavors. When you brew adulterated coffee, you are essentially making a starch soup, a thick, heavy water that mimics the body of coffee but provides none of the chemical benefits. To hide the taste of this burnt cereal, these companies use an incredibly dark roast on the actual coffee beans. They incinerate the beans to ash. This masks the flavor of the filler, but it also hides defects in the coffee itself: mold, fungus, insect damage, and sour beans. They burn it all until everything tastes like charcoal and ash. You have been trained to think this bitter, biting, burnt flavor is strong coffee. It is not. It is the flavor of a cover-up. This isn't just about taste, it's about biology. You are paying for caffeine and antioxidants. You are receiving acrylamide, a byproduct of burning starch, and empty fillers. But the game changed in 2024 and 2025. Profeco launched a massive audit. They went into the supermarkets, Walmart, Soriana, Chedraui, and pulled everything. They used microscopy to look at the cellular structure of the powder. Coffee cells look like a honeycomb under a microscope. Cornstarch looks like jagged crystals. You cannot hide from the microscope. They found that many premium brands were lying, but they also found the survivors. The brands that, despite being incredibly affordable, contained 0 starch, 0 corn, and 0 lies. The science of purity, the 5 chosen brands. We are now going to review the 5 brands that defy the pricing logic. These are brands that cost less than half of the gourmet options, but delivered 100% purity in the lab. 1. Precisimo, the generic paradox. The hook, the red bag you are too embarrassed to buy. The verdict, 100% pure coffee, no adulteration. Let's start with the one that shocks everyone. Precisimo is the private label, the generic brand often found in Walmart, Mexico, and associated chains. In the psychology of shopping, generic equals garbage. You assume it's the sweepings off the factory floor. The PROFECO lab results prove the opposite. Precissimo passed every single purity test in the 2024 and June 2025 studies. How is this possible for a product that costs pennies? It comes down to industrial scale versus artisanal variability. Precissimo isn't roasting in a shed, it is being produced by a massive industrial partner with rigid quality controls. They utilize optical sorting technology. In modern coffee processing, beans shoot down a conveyor belt at high speeds. Cameras and lasers analyze every single bean. If a bean is black, broken, insect eaten, or if the machine detects a stone or a piece of corn, a jet of air blasts that object out of the line. Furthermore, they use densimetric tables. Coffee beans have a specific density. Husks, sticks, and light debris do not. By vibrating the product over a table with air blowing through it, the heavy, pure coffee stays and the trash floats away. Precissimo delivers a chemically clean cup. It has the classic profile, chocolate notes, slight bitterness, caramel. It is stable. If you buy a bag today and another in 3 months, they will taste the same because the industrial protocol is strict. It does not have the complexity of a specialized single origin Ethiopian bean, but it is real. It is honest. And at less than 100 pesos per kilogram, it is essentially charity. You are getting the caffeine and the lipids you paid for, not a glucose spike from roasted corn. 2. Cafe Legal, the power of vertical integration. The Hook, the old school brand your grandmother drank. The Verdict, 100% pure, zero foreign matter detected. Cafe Legal is a heritage brand. You see it and think old, maybe stale, but in the coffee world, longevity often implies infrastructure. This coffee comes from the major producing regions of Veracruz and Chiapas. The secret to their purity is vertical integration. Many fake brands are just marketing companies. They buy random ground powder from third-party suppliers, bag it, and slap a logo on it. They have no idea what's in the mix. Cafe Legal controls the chain. They deal directly with the producers or aggregated cooperatives. When you control the source, you don't need to cut the product with filler to make a margin. You make your margin on volume and efficiency. PROFECO's microscopy confirmed zero contamination, no starch granules, no suspicious plant tissues. The flavor profile here is what we call traditional Mexican high roast. It is robust. It punches you in the mouth. It is designed to wake you up. It doesn't taste like ash. It tastes like dark roasted plant matter, which is what it should be. It beats out competitors that spend millions on TV commercials because it spends its money on the logistics of getting the bean from the field to the roaster without the middleman adulteration phase. 3. International, the industrial titan. The Hook, the corner store staple. The Verdict, high standard industrial purity, often derided as bricklayer coffee or office swill due to its ubiquity and low price. International is the victim of classist marketing. The lab results vindicate it completely. International belongs to a massive coffee group. We are talking about standards that rival global giants like Nestle. When you operate at this level, you cannot afford a scandal. If a batch of International were found to be cut with corn, the lawsuits and the stock market hit would be catastrophic. Therefore, their internal quality assurance, QA, is more rigorous than a boutique roaster. They use gas chromatography in their internal labs to ensure the chemical fingerprint matches 100% coffee. They test for moisture content to prevent ochratoxin a toxic mold byproduct. PROFECO found it consistently pure. The taste, it's earthy. It has low acidity. It is designed for the pot of coffee that sits there for an hour. It holds up to sugar and milk. It is not delicate. It is a workhorse. But chemically, it delivers exactly what the label says. No fillers, no roasted barley, just coffee Arabica and likely some coffee Canephora Robusta for body, which is a perfectly valid, safe, and pure species of coffee. 4. Café Leyenda, the cult classic. The Hook, the ugly duckling of the shelf. The Verdict, zero impurities, the clean cup. You find this in the bargain bins or the basic basket sections. The packaging usually looks dated, but in the coffee growing regions, people know this brand. It is the definition of no nonsense. Why did it pass the test when shiny gourmet brands failed? Because it relies on regional consolidation. It aggregates beans that are visually imperfect, odd sizes, slight discoloration, but chemically sound. In the coffee grading world, a bean can be ugly, but taste fine. These are often called seconds. The scammers take the seconds and mix them with sawdust. Café Leyenda takes the seconds and roasts them as pure coffee. That is the ethical difference. You aren't getting the prize-winning bean, but you aren't getting trash. The sensory analysis shows no defects like ferment, stink beans, or phenol medicinal taste. It's a clean extraction. It brews fast, meaning the grind size is consistent, another marker of good industrial milling. If it were cut with corn, the water flow would clog because starches swell when wet. Leyenda flows freely. 5. El Merino, the king of freshness. The hook, the one you see in every OXXO convenience store. The verdict, 100% pure, high rotation freshness. El Merino is a massive torrefactor. Their plant is a beast of engineering. They control traceability and have certifications under Mexican official standards, NOM. But their secret weapon isn't just purity, it's rotation. Coffee is a perishable good. Oxygen is the enemy. Once roasted, coffee releases CO2, degassing, and then starts absorbing oxygen, which turns the lipids, oils, rancid. Because El Merino sells so much volume in high-traffic stores like Soriana and OXXO, the product never sits on the shelf for 6 months. You're almost always buying a bag that was roasted recently. Freshness masks a lot of mediocrity, but it also highlights quality. PROFECO found about 70 milliliters of caffeine per cup, which is a solid standard dose. It's likely a blend of Arabica, flavor, acidity, and Robusta, crema, caffeine, body. It's the safest bet in Mexico. It is the Honda Civic of coffees. It will not win a Formula One race, but it will start every morning, it won't break down, and it is made of actual metal, not plastic. The bonus, Café Garat. If you have a few extra pesos and want to step up from commodity to entry-level gourmet, the transcript highlights Garat. It is 100% Arabica. It has a sweeter, more acidic profile, which is desirable. It costs more than the 5 above, but significantly less than the luxury brands that often fail quality tests. It represents the bridge between fuel and pleasure. The science, how to spot the fake, the home test. You are standing in your kitchen. You have a bag of coffee. You are suspicious. Is it real? Is it merino? Or is it generic scam for 4? You don't have an electron microscope, but you have physics. Here is the hydrophobic lipid test, the water glass test. The setup. Take a clear glass of cold water. Do not stir it. The drop. Take a tablespoon of your ground coffee and sprinkle it gently on top of the water. The observation. Watch what happens in the first few seconds. The science of real coffee. Roasted coffee beans contain oils and gases. They are hydrophobic, water repelling, and less dense than water. Real coffee powder should float. It should stay on top of the water for quite a while. The water underneath should remain relatively clear, perhaps tinting slightly yellow over time. The science of fake coffee. Fillers like corn, barley, and burnt tortillas have been stripped of their oils or never had them. They are chemically predominantly starches and sugars. These are hydrophilic, water-loving. They absorb water instantly. If the powder sinks immediately to the bottom like rocks, it is fake. If the water instantly turns dark, ink black, or blood red as the powder hits it, it is fake. That is artificial coloring and burnt caramel dissolving into the water. Real coffee needs heat and time to extract color. Check the residue. If you brew a cup and find a thick, slimy sludge at the bottom that feels like wet clay or sand, that is silica or starch. Coffee grounds are cellulose. They should feel like wet sawdust, not slime. The consumer protocol, how to buy without getting scammed. You are in the aisle. You are surrounded by 50 brands. Here is your tactical checklist to ensure you never drink liquid lies again. 1. The NOM seal hunt. Ignore the gold letters, ignore the picture of the happy farmer, look for the tiny print. You are looking for NOM, Norma Official Mexicana, and specifically the verification from PROFECO or an accredited lab. If the bag doesn't say 100% cafe but says coffee mix, estilo cafe, or bebida a base de cafe, drop it. It's trash. 2. The roast date versus expiration date. Most brands only show an expiration date, usually 2 years out. That is useless. Look for the manufacturing date, fecha de elaboración. Coffee is a zombie after 6 months. If the bag is fresh but was roasted a year ago, it will taste like cardboard. The high rotation brands like Merino and International usually win here because they sell fast. 3. The squeeze test. Physics check. Test. Physics. Grab the bag, squeeze it. Does it feel like a solid brick? That's a vacuum seal, good for longevity. Does it feel loose but has a little plastic button on the front? That is a one-way degassing valve. This is high-tech. It lets CO2 out but doesn't let oxygen in. This usually indicates a higher quality bean because only companies that care about freshness pay for the valve. If the bag is puffy, bloated, and has no valve, it's full of stale gas. Avoid. 4. The ingredient audit. Turn the bag over. The ingredient list should have one word: coffee. If you see sugar, caramel, flavorings, maltodextrin, or cereals, you are holding a milkshake mix, not coffee. Conclusion. The narrative that expensive equals better is a lie designed to extract wealth from your pocket. The narrative that cheap equals contaminated is a fear tactic used to keep you buying overpriced brands. PROFECO has done the work. The science is in. Brands like Precisimo, Legal, International, Leyenda, and Merino are proof that you can have a pure, chemically sound, honest cup of coffee for the price of pocket change. They don't have the marketing budget, but they have the biology. Stop buying the hype, stop drinking roasted corn, check the label, do the water test, and reclaim your morning ritual. You deserve to wake up to the truth. Now, go check your pantry.